This is Christian from Necrofier. You're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
All right.
Imagine if you showed up, we did a half-hour interview, and Bruce didn't hit record.
So I will tell you, as stupid as it sounds, it has happened. I've been so involved, because I'm the brains and the muscle and everything of the show. And it's tough when he just shows up and he's good to make fun of me, but I'm taking care of everything. So sometimes, I forget things.
Well, I've been gone for a year, just about a year, and I'm back. So, Bruce?
Yes. It hasn't been that long?
It has been, yeah, just about.
Shit. This is his first day back, so cut him some slack, Christian. Anyway, I'm Bruce. That's my partner, Chris. Welcome. Thanks for taking the time, man.
Of course.
So what's it like over in what'd you say, you're in Texas?
Texas is all right. It finally cooled off, so there's that at least.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about Necrofier. Now that Prophecies of Eternal Darkness is complete, done, and finished, how do you feel about it? And are you satisfied with the way it turned out?
I feel really good about it. We got to spend a little more time on it than probably usual just because of last year. And we recorded it with Dauber at his home studio, so lots of extra time putting in some stuff we wanted to. But I'm really happy with the final product. I mean, you can critique things like you do yourself over and over all the time, but I'm pretty happy with how everything turned out.
What was the recording process like? Because, like you say, you did it during like the height of everything that's going on. Where you guys like?
We're also in Texas, where I feel like no one really cares about anything, anyways. But
nice.
When it first started, we were all kind of, like everybody else, sketched what was going on, and then after a couple weeks or like that month, where we kind of figured out, we're like, okay, well, none of us are really doing anything besides maybe going to work, like on a couple of us. So I think we just hang out with the band and whatever. I think we'll be all right. So we just started recording like that.
Cool. So this was a record that you guys did yourselves?
Yes.
That is
awesome.
We've
been recording forever, so there's a certain extra level of professionalism that comes with doing that with him. Just some years and years of experience. But
how freeing do you find it to be able to not have to go into a studio?
It's real nice, especially because I don't feel like we're ever on the clock, which is something I feel like I will be in my head at the studio. Because even though, say, you do a bunch of stuff and you need to take a break, you have that, oh, I'm on a break, but yeah, we're paying for this break,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hated going to studios that charged hourly rates. I always wanted the lockout rate.
Yeah,
and even then,
rate, so you're not like sitting there going, oh, cool, we're just burning money, because you shouldn't go to the studio and just completely work nonstop on something,
No, I think that's one of the benefits of how technology has helped musicians, is that they're not forced to like go into a studio, do it exactly the way that the best that they can, and then let someone else do the best they can with what the best they can, and they do it in this compressed time frame. And although that can give you some magic, you always feel kind of let down later on, unless you have like a $1,000,000,000 budget, like
you just record forever.
Yeah, you're not like Fleetwood Mac sitting in Sound City for like a year and a half.
Don't you feel though that there is a certain something or magic that might happen in the studio, or the act of just like packing up your shit and going there adds to the whole process, or no?
There is. I feel like it's just kind of how you set everything up. And also, yeah, I mean, depending on the studio you go to, there is a whole kind of just romantic feel of going to a studio and everything's there, and the big boards and rack mounts and everything.
This is my thumbs down to big boards. I absolutely.
I mean, I don't know what anything does on the big board, but it's entertaining to watch.
You know what they do nowadays? They just take up air conditioning. That's about it. Sorry. I might be old, but I'm fully digital.
But I feel like going to the studio also depends on who you're recording with, because certain people can bring certain things out of you,
right?
Like through encouragement or just through how you feel being around them and things like that.
Sure. Yeah. So did you guys do drums at the home studio as well?
Yes.
Really?
Robert's got like his whole setup for everything, so he kind of he's been doing it so long that he's kind of got it down to, I guess, almost like science. But
it is a science, and that's awesome. That's great. Well, I'm always a tech geek guy, so I always ask tech geeky questions. So here's a lightning round.
Okay.
Sorry, real amps or amp sims?
Both.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, were you blending them together or doing takes of real and takes of sims and then blending them together?
I believe it was blending them together, but I don't get into that process of it. I work with some of it. I'm like, this sounds good. This sounds good. And then, I kind of come back and I'm like, this awesome. If I get into stuff, it's more kind of effects with pedals and other things like that.
What kind of cool pedals are you using?
Dark Waves from Idiot Box Effects. It's chorus echo. Most everything we use on this is either reverb or some kind of chorus thing in that kind of range or echo thing.
Cool. Sorry, I'm getting geeky, Bruce. You can take it from here.
No, that's fine. I've got a few notes, and then we could just go wherever we usually end up doing. Tell me about the partnership with Brimminghorn Meadery. How did that come about, and what is that?
Season of Mist brought that to us. It's super cool. I've never had a mead before. I actually really like mead. So doing the process with them and kind of getting to choose some flavors and going back and forth like that and put the whole thing together was rad.
So you guys were actually involved in, I know Chris has got his hand up like we're in fucking third grade, but
fuck you.
So you guys had a hand in the process of picking out flavor profiles. Look at me, I sound like
I went back and forth with them, and I was like, here's a couple ideas, but you guys know better than me. I want this to turn out to be somewhere on the craziest side of like, okay, all this stuff sounds great to me, and it's going to be too sweet, or it's going to be whatever. So like I sent them some things, and they're like, this sounds great, we should try this and this with this, and I'm like, all right, cool, everything sounds good. And then
I have
Christopher, you had your hand up.
What is mead?
Can I answer? Wait, can I answer? Can I answer? It's a honey liquor.
Okay.
So can I ask you, does mead get you fucked up?
You drink enough of it.
Is it like wine?
Yeah, it's on the wine kind of like that.
Okay, I've never had it, so it's not like drinking bourbon or anything.
No, I've actually had mead before, but when I was speaking with some people about this podcast earlier, they were like, what's mead? And I realized maybe a lot of people don't know what mead is. So you see, I asked these questions not because I'm an idiot, but because I'm trying to educate.
Well done.
So where can you get this mead? Because I want to order some. Or can I order some?
You can either get it on Birminghorn's site, or I think you can go to the, I don't know what they call it. Is it a meadery? Or is it a brewery? One of the two.
My notes say meadery, so I think we're going to go with that.
We're going to go with meadery.
That works.
But there's not many. I mean, there's especially compared to how big the craft brewing industry is, especially in America. There's fewer meaderies for sure.
Right.
There is so many craft breweries around here. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And Bruce actually lives in the capital of craft brewing in the United States.
Here in Richmond. Is it really?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, here in Richmond, there's like one every half a block. They're everywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. I feel like a new one opens every other week.
Yeah. So let's talk about back to Necrofier. Sorry, Chris is that's why you got up early in Texas to deal with this.
He's working on the mead board to try to educate people.
You guys are writing such really intense and heavy, even dark thematic stuff. Do you find it very cathartic, especially in the times that we're living in, to write that sort of stuff?
I think so. I mean, it's no matter what anybody wants to talk about with COVID and all the other things, I mean, it's put a lot of stress on everyone in society in general. So I feel it pushes a lot more of that kind of feeling out. I feel like now more than ever, it feels the world's going to die. I mean, just going to end, things like that, where it's just, you see so many problems and it keeps going and going and going. So yeah, I think it does fuel things like that when you're writing.
Is there something you want your fans to take away from after listening to a Necrofier record, or more specifically, Prophecies of Eternal Darkness?
Hey, bro, I'm gonna do my best.
Did you lose me?
I'm gonna do my impression of Bruce right now.
Are we better?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are we back?
you're back.
All right, great.
What was your question?
Is there something you want your fans, like when you're writing, is there something you want your fans to take away from after listening to a Necrofier record, or even more specifically, like Prophecies of Eternal Darkness? I mean, I know it's dark, but is there something you want them to walk away with?
Let me think. In how the record was, I mean, musically, like, yeah, I would like everybody to like the record or love it or whatever you want to say in that
Right.
range. But taking out of the record, a lot of the lyrics have to do with me kind of exploring different topics of things that aren't for sure. You know, it's like kind of like topics of like death or where things go afterwards, or, you know, different things that happen in the world that can't be explained.
Right.
So, I mean, I feel like more of take something away from it, as in maybe people want to go out and look for more, just to see what's out there and things like that, to see how they interpret things or go with it.
Okay. Chris?
I see a big vinyl collection behind you.
And I got a couple.
Holy shit, man. That shelf has to be heavy as hell. What?
Yeah,
Give
I
me
don't
your
want to ever move again.
Yeah. Give me your three favorite records off that shelf.
Let's see. Probably let's go with the Sombranian from Dissection. Maybe Turbo Negro Apocalypse Dudes. And
I haven't heard of them in forever.
yeah, I mean, it's an old record, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite rock records from that time period. And I don't know on the third one, just too many to name.
Okay, and I actually do want to know what draws you to vinyl.
Originally, I started collecting vinyl when I was a teenager. I listened to a bunch of punk stuff, and vinyl was actually way cheaper than CDs.
Yeah.
And, you know, like when you're a kid, you're just like, what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, oh yeah, vinyl's supposed to be cool. I have a record player at home, and also I can buy a record for $8 or $9 as opposed to a CD for like 14 or so. So it seemed like the right choice then.
Yeah, but is there?
And, you know, like that's what I usually buy music on, and I listen to it either on vinyl or digitally now.
Cool. Is there something about the vinyl sound that you prefer, or is it just a continuation of what you're doing when you're younger?
The vinyl sound. I mean, obviously, it's harder to listen to in certain aspects than listening to stuff digitally, but also, like, say, the physical aspect of it. Usually, vinyl comes with some extra art, or you would have the vinyl art is much, you know, it's a bigger format than anything else they sell. Usually comes from, you know, like extra goodies, things like that.
Yeah, and just the like almost like a cultural experience, right? Like
yeah, you can listen to it, and it's a whole experience of like, here it is, and you like take it out, and you put it on, and it's like physically being played. You know,
I'm with you, Christian. He's going to be a dick again and not be with you, but I'm
I'm not.
I'm totally with you.
Yeah, I'm not. I remember being a kid and getting my first vinyl, which was the Steve Miller Band Abracadabra.
Hell yeah.
And I also got Survivor, Eye of the Tiger at the same time. I was like 4 or 5, maybe 6 years old. But I do remember that experience of being able to open up the record and being like, oh my God, I can actually read the lyrics and stuff. And then you get the cassette, you know, you're like, I was like, perfect eyesight, and I can't read the damn thing because everything's so small. But do you guys have plans to do vinyl for yourself?
The record's out on vinyl.
That is killer. Where can we get it?
You can get it at either on Bandcamp or on the Season of Mist page.
Awesome.
So I know you did some runs with Goat Whore, and you're doing some stuff with Cloak. How does it feel to be back on the road? And are there any? I mean, the world has changed a bit. Is there any precautions or different protocols you have to follow to actually do this? Or
in Texas, there's not really any protocol. It's kind of up to what bands want to do. I mean, besides being in a band, I'm a concert promoter, so I've had to deal with this since stuff started back. But some bands want vaccinations and tests and things like that. Some don't care, or some just don't want to affect or draw, things like that. But on those Goat Whore shows, I mean, it's Texas, and Goat Whore didn't request anything. So there was, you know, there's people wearing masks at some shows and things like that, but there was nothing mandated.
Are you guys planning on taking this outside of Texas?
Plan to sometime next year. I'm still kind of working on it. It's some things are up in the air, and a lot of you know, like some tours have just been pushed back over and over and over and over.
Yes.
So it's kind of hard to be like, oh, cool, what's going on now? All right, there's everything that's been being worked on for the last year and a half is already set. So we'll see what comes up.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I've had tickets to a couple shows and they've been postponed again and again.
Like, and some of it I think depends on just, I mean, even say people aren't scared of getting sick as it's going to hurt them, but if you get COVID, you have to cancel, you know, at least 5 to 6 dates of your tour. So, you know, that instantly, especially if that's your job, makes it where you're not making money on that tour.
Well, and especially if you're not, it's not just the artist either, it's the crew. Because like maybe the artist could afford to take the 5 days off, but the crew might not be able to.
Well, I mean, still the artist has to pay for everybody. So if everybody's off, they're just bleeding money for the whole week. So or if it's at the end of the tour, it's like, cool, we made all this money to pay for everything, and now everything we're supposed to make on the tour isn't going to happen. So this was, I mean, you know, it's just.
I was looking at Kiss, you know, and Gene and Paul both had COVID and got over it, but their guitar tech got it and died. And like, I don't know how you'd feel about that if you're out on tour and that happened to like one of your longest running employees, really.
Yeah, didn't they say he was with them for like 40 years or something? Right? He's been, I
mean, that's got to be insane. I can't even imagine.
I can't even imagine what that would have felt like. I would have been like, holy shit, man. Like, and they just left.
Point where everybody can't stay home, but it's also, you got to be somewhat cautious, you know, like what's actually still happening.
Well, and I think too, like what is Kiss in their 70s?
Yeah.
They gotta be. Their guitar tech's probably in his 70s. Like that's kind of pushing the limits of even being able to be safe, you know, in a setting like that, in my opinion.
Yeah. I would 100% agree.
Traveling and that many people, there's only so much isolation you can do, you know, and somebody goes here and somebody goes there, you know.
Right.
Oh yeah, and then you have catering staff at every place and
the stadium.
Yeah, especially in that. There's so much. I mean, you can have crews and everybody wear masks and do whatever, but you know, you're playing shows like that. There's hundreds and hundreds of people working every day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's and I think too, being a touring act, which is I think cool that you guys are smart doing this in Texas, because at least you have a set of ideas that you can work with. Mm-hmm. But if you're a national touring act and you have 50 states to go through.
Oh, I can't even imagine having to figure out what the different protocols are for the entire United States.
Right.
Yeah. Like different cities even have different and different promoters, and oh my God, it's crazy. But anyways, sorry, I'm hijacking the conversation, Bruce.
What's next for Necrofier?
Try to figure out hopefully like some tours in the US next year. I don't really feel Europe is probably a possibility until 2023. Just what we're talking about, everything's been pushed back. So like all the festival lineups are just like going. So hopefully Europe 2023, but you know, you never know. And a US tour, or maybe some festivals next year.
Yeah.
Any sort of live streaming or anything like that?
Next record.
Yeah.
Any
sort of live streaming or anything like that, or that's not a.
Possibly. I'm not a big fan of the live stream.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like everybody wants to go to shows.
Yes.
If you're going to do something live stream, we would have to do something special other than us just playing. So maybe if I sit on it for a while and we came up with an idea that works, and it wasn't just say us playing on a stage, it would be kind of cool. But I don't want to just put us on a stage and be like, hey, here it is.
Right. Yeah, we're playing live.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the pandemic, that was cool.
Yeah, at the beginning,
yes,
it was like, okay, let's do this, let's support us, and then it's just cool. Here's another live stream. Okay,
yeah,
live stream.
And then everyone started doing live streams from their living room with like
their cell phones.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, like it was cool at the start because no one knew.
A lot different. I mean, if you're going to the concert, you'll go see a band play and they can play, and you get into it or you don't, and you know you have an experience. But if you're watching it, I feel like you have to add a bunch of extra visual effects if you're just sitting in your room watching it on your TV or your computer.
Or at least, I think you hit it on the head. Make it more than just your cell phones. Do it right.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I saw Catatonic. Jesus, sorry, my dog is going fucking crazy. I saw Catatonic do it in the beginning, and they did it, you know, with like a 12 camera shoot, and it was absolutely killer. And then I've seen bands do it, like you said, with with their cell, and it's a big difference. And I think it makes a big difference, especially if you're paying money to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you just have one camera sitting on the band, it's like, okay, here we go. I mean, it costs more money, more people, more time to make it come out like, something
Right.
special.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
So what's a Necrofier show like?
Loud, dark.
Yeah. Speaking of live stream, I don't know if you guys have seen the Machine Head live stream that they do on Fridays.
I watch it every Friday, Electric Happy Hour.
It is crazy. A friend of mine just sent it to me last week, and I was like, this is how a live stream should be. They're just crazy. They just sit. What's that?
It's entertaining.
Oh, it's
great.
My
God. They just sit there and get pissed and play cover songs.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And he has different people playing. It's always Rob, and then sometimes it's a bass player, sometimes it's guests, sometimes it's the whole band. It's great.
I'll check it out.
And last week it was Halloween, so they were all dressed up, and it was like almost an intimate view into hanging out in their rehearsal space.
That's cool.
Yeah. And the best quote I heard was, "Oh, what are you drinking?" He's like, "Oh, this is one of my top 30 beers," he said. I was like, that is such a killer quote.
And it's free. So, I mean, he's got a tip jar or whatever, but it's free. So it doesn't matter if it's filmed well.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting into. It's just him bullshitting with everybody. And I like it. I think it's a good way to keep in contact with fans and whatever. So anyway.
That's really good. I also like the tip jar thing opposed to saying charging money. Like, say even if it's $10 or whatever, because you should charge, except with YouTube and everything else, I feel everyone on the internet just thinks it should be free anyways.
Yes.
Well, how now this is going to get us off topic.
Really?
But how do you think artists or record labels, or I guess those business people, how do they tackle that problem when an industry that relies on talent has that talent not getting paid? How do you tackle that issue?
I really don't know. I think musicians just get screwed with like where it's at the moment.
Well, I agree with that, but there has to be a better way. And
I completely agree there has to be a better way, but I really just don't know.
Yeah.
You can try with different things, because now it's the point where you only really make like money is being made like from touring and things like that. So, you could say the same thing with maybe doing some streams and other, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it because during COVID, I personally know a lot of people that lost everything because of what they do, which is either concert promoters or festival promoters, roadies,
managers, right?
Yeah. They lost everything. Like some people that I know were forced from being on top of the world to being a cashier, Yep. And there has to be a way, and there has to be some type of situation to help these people out, but not necessarily like a handout, like here's money for you, but how do people get through this without losing everything? Because music is such an integral part of life, in everybody's life, whether they know it or not.
And it's the way you get through a lot of the shit.
Absolutely.
I really don't have an answer.
I'm getting all deep, and you're like, dude, it's 7 in the fucking morning.
Shows have started to come back, so a lot of those people are starting to work again, but some people have moved on. It's a tough industry to work in anyways, besides
right
having COVID shut everybody down for a year or more.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting all deep, and you're like, it's 7 in the morning. What the fuck is going on, man?
Like, what?
Dude, I don't know if you know how many meads I had last night, but I'm not ready for this. Don't worry, neither am I. I'm just shooting the shit.
I feel like that question is a lot of what everybody in the music industry, especially band and management, try to figure out, except there's no one has a real answer to it.
No, there is no answer that I can find.
That's what they were doing, that Save Our Stages thing for a lot of clubs and bands and manager, all across. That was, I feel like there's a lot of attention brought to jobs that people didn't know existed if you didn't work in the music.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you mean there's this guy that you talk to that calls this other guy that then talks to a club and then books this, and then there's 40 people that work that show that night,
and catering and everybody, right? There's everything,
and not to mention the restaurants around the venue that fill up before and after.
And bars next. There's just so many things that affects if there's a big show, everything in the area and people working.
Absolutely.
Not just say the band and whatever.
Right.
The video.
All right. Well, that's all I've got. Hit my list. Chris, you got anything?
I don't, man. I really appreciate you taking the time and putting up with me because this is my
you made it back.
This is my first show back in a year.
Yeah.
He had a surgery. He was Christine for a while.
I had a surgery by the United States government. Yeah, I'm from Canada, so you're like, oh, that explains.
They finally let you back in over the internet. We weren't allowed before.
No, I live in DC.
Oh, okay.
But my visa ran out, and I was in like this weird legal gray area because I'm on my wife's visa.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't allowed to work or leave the country or do anything until they processed my case. And then once my case was processed, then I could come back or stay and work.
It took a little extra time to get it processed, I assume.
Yeah. About a year.
So believe it or not, you're privileged. It's his first day back. It's pretty cool. Anyway, Christian, I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, no problem.
Hey, can we get a scream before you go?
That's too. Wait, really? Okay.
Oh, that'd be great.
Perfect. Thank you.
Have a good day. That's all right. Have a good day, my friend. Take care.
All right, guys.
All right,
Yeah,
bye.
bye-bye.